Peter Navarro said that it's perfectly possible to do 90 deals in 90 days. We haven't seen one just yet. How soon might we see a deal, and what evidence can you share that progress is being made in these trade negotiations?
Sure. Well, I spoke to our entire trade team this morning. There is a lot of progress being made. We now have 18 proposals on paper that have been brought to the trade team. Again, these are proposals on paper that countries have proposed to the Trump administration and to our government. You have Secretary Bessent, Secretary Lutnick, Ambassador Greer, NEC Director Hassett, and Peter Navarro, the entire trade team, meeting with 34 countries this week alone. We are moving at Trump speed to ensure these deals are made on behalf of the American worker and the American people. And just yesterday, it seemed to get a little bit lost in the news, and I think it's a disservice to the American public that it did. The Vice President announced terms of reference for a trade deal with India. That is a big deal. We know when we look at the numbers, the monetary trade barriers and the non-monetary trade barriers from India, they have been ripping off the United States and American workers for a very long time. So the fact that the Vice President with Prime Minister Modi on that trip in India announced these terms of reference, which is essentially a framework to move the ball forward to sign a good trade deal between our two nations, is great progress, and it speaks to the work ethic and the real labor that's being put into this effort by the President's trade team. Sure. Go ahead.
Does the proposals that you talk about, is that enough to extend the pauses on these reciprocal tariffs, or does the President need to see, these deals inked and signed to offer any sort of additional extension beyond the 90 days?
Well, look, ask me in July when the deadline hits. I know I'll be answering those questions from all of you in this room. There's a lot of time left, and the President's trade team is working, again, at Trump speed as quickly as they can to ensure that these deals can be made.
Are any of those conversations yet with China happening?
I actually do have something to share on that. I asked the President about this before coming out here, and he wanted me to share with all of you that we're doing very well in respect to a potential trade deal with China. As I mentioned, there have now been 18 proposals in more than 100 countries around the world who are wanting to make a deal with the United States of America, and the President and the administration are setting the stage for a deal with China. So we feel everyone involved wants to see a trade deal happen, and the ball is moving in the right direction. Sure.
Setting the stage for a deal with China, what does that mean? Has the President spoken directly with Xi yet?
I don't have anything to read out on a direct talk between the President and President Xi, but we will continue to keep you updated.
And Secretary Bessent reportedly today told investors that this trade standoff with China he expects will be de-escalating soon because, as he described it, reportedly the situation is unsustainable. Is the President considering taking steps to de-escalate the situation with China?
Again, I just read you words directly from the President of the United States. Those are moments ago. That's where his head is at right now.
Caroline.
Sure.
Caroline, I had two questions, one on immigration and one on China. First on immigration. Roughly how many illegal immigrants and aliens do we have in our country, and how many does the administration plan on deporting?
Sure. Well, you'd have to ask the Department of Homeland Security for a specific number, but we suspect it's definitely in the millions, perhaps upwards of 20 million people that were allowed into the country illegally by the previous administration. And the President and his team are focused on deporting as many as we possibly can, and they are moving as quickly as possible. The President's team has made it clear we need more funding from Congress to do more. We need more ICE agents out on the ground doing this very important work. And we also need rogue district court judges to stop acting as judicial activists, trying to block the administration from deporting illegal criminals from our nation's interior.
Absolutely.
The American public elected the President to do this, and he's following through with that promise.
And we have over 250,000 Chinese nationals in our country right now on student visas. Does the administration believe there's any national security concern when it comes to those over 250,000 Chinese nationals in our country?
Well, as you know, when it comes to foreign visas, the Secretary of State has the right to revoke visas of those who we feel are acting in a adversarial way to our foreign policy interests here in the United States. He has that authority according to the Immigration and Nationality Act. So I would defer you to the State Department for any individual case, but they are looking at individuals who are given the privilege of being on a visa in our country, and if they are acting, again, adversarial to our foreign policy interests, their visa can be revoked, and they should be aware of that.
Caroline.
Sure. Go ahead. Yes. I'm calling on you.
Thank you, Caroline.
You're welcome.
Over the last few weeks, several countries have warned their citizens about travel to the U.S., and the Department of Commerce's own stats know that show that from a lot of countries, the number of visitors is falling. Does the White House have any message for people that might be reconsidering business or tourism travel to the U.S.?
Where did you see that report?
With the statistics coming from the Department of Commerce,
Said what? It's
That-
hard to hear you. Sorry.
that visitors from a lot of countries have fallen in the last 3 months.
I'd have to look at that report to comment on the merits of it. I think most people around the world recognize the United States of America is a great place to do business. It's a beautiful place to visit, and they should certainly come here because it's a much safer country than it was 4 years ago under the previous president.